Hello, this is Steve Shrimpton from Wifitrax. On this video I'm going to show you how to set up the WFS-42 and WFS-43. The WFS-42 is a Wi-Fi switch machine controller designed to work with store motor switch machines such as the Tortoise by Securitron. The WFS-43 is a little bit more complicated because it has on it a DCC input, which allows you to operate your turnouts from DCC as well as via Wi-Fi, whereas the 42 is just Wi-Fi only. So what we're going to do here is, because they're so similar, I'm just going to work with the 43, the WFS-43, and connect up power to it from a Meanwell 15-volt power supply. And then we're going to connect up the Tortoise switch machine and get it working. Okay, so now we've finished connecting up the power, and now we'll just have a look and see how to connect up the switch machine. Just looking here. One thing I should say is there's a factory reset button there, and a WPS button. The WPS button is used to connect to a home network, which we'll talk about later. Also, there's some dip switches there which allow you to control the output voltage, because some switch machines, might need a slightly higher voltage than others. So now, turning the module over, on the back you can see there are 4 channels there. So if we look, S1 on the left, it's S1. Sorry, S4. On the right is S1, looking from the bottom. And we've got S1 left and S1 right. And then there's a common there, which we really don't need because these Tortoise switch machines are just two wire. So turn it back as it was. And now we'll get the switch machine here. And I've connected it up with 2 wires soldered to it, and all we need to do now is to put those 2 wires into the left and right for channel 1, and then we'll be able to see it working. Okay, so we've finished connecting those up, and so we've got the switch machine, the Tortoise switch machine, connected to channel 1, and now we'll turn on the power. And you can see the switch machine has gone to one end of its travel. Which way it goes, of course, depends on the polarity of the way we've connected these 2 around. You can see the red LED is on to show that power's there. There's the green LED and the blue LED are not lit because we don't have any network traffic or DCC input at the moment. One further thing you need to think about when setting up the WFS-43 is that you can set some dip switches to set the output voltage. And there's a table 1, in the Quick Start Guide, the leaflet that comes with the product, which shows you the settings that you can have. Now, of course, if you've got 15 volts, then you won't get any higher than about 11 volts. But if you're running at 18 volts, then you can get you can get a higher voltage by setting the dip switches appropriately. Some switch machines require a higher voltage. Some you perhaps should have a lower voltage. So 7 or 8 volts is the lowest. So this time I've actually got 18 volts power supplied, and I've got my multimeter connected to some wires on the channel 1 outputs. So we're looking at the voltage on there. So if we power up, and with all the dip switches here in the off position, okay, we power up now, we find that we've got 14 volts, which is probably a bit much for the Tortoise switch machines. So if we put the switch, where are we? Switch 2 in the on position, it takes it down to 10.7. And if we now put switch 1 in the on position, it takes it down to 7.5. So switch 3 really doesn't have much effect. And I have specified 18 volts as being the maximum. You might be able to get away with a bit higher, but you probably don't need it. And the this voltage stabilizer here will get pretty hot if you have any more than 18 volts going in. So now I've set up my iPad, and we're going to test this WFS-43, make sure its channel, or at least one of its channels work. We've only got one connected, by accessing its web pages that it provides. So first of all, we need to go to settings on the iPad and Wi-Fi, and we can see currently it's connected to a network called Wifitrax Demo 4, which happens to be one of my test networks here. So we can see there we've got available the Wifitrax WFS-43 _1 _ big number _7, which is the Wi-Fi access point provided by the module itself. And we're going to connect to that. By the way, the 1 there means it's Wi-Fi channel 1, and the 7 is actually the subnet number. So we're going to connect to that by tapping on it, and there we go, it's connected up. And so now we're going to go back to the home page on here and open Safari. And Safari, what we're going to do is, instead of typing a URL in there like google.com, we're going to actually type an IP address. And the IP address is actually 192.168.7.1. Right, so there it is. So if we now hit go, we'll go to the module. That's the IP address of the module on its own network, and the module is sending its main menu. So normally when you access something using a web browser like Safari, you go to something on the internet like google.com or something like that. This time it's the module itself is a web server, and it's providing its own set of pages, web pages, and the default one is the main menu. So now what we can do is, we can see there we've got switch machine channels. So if we tap that, we get a listing of the channels that the switch machine channels that the module supports. And so what we can do now is we can test it, and you can see the switch machine there ready. We can test it by tapping on there, and sure enough it swings the end of its treble, and that shows thrown. If we tap it again, then it goes the other way. So that channel 1 is working nicely. I don't have another Tortoise switch machine available at the moment, so I can't test channels 2, 3 and 4, but you can see how you do it by testing 1 like that. By the way, on here we've got the switch machine channels have got names, and the default names is part of the serial number, and channel 0, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, as you see. We can also set the DCC address, which is going to be important if you're actually going to operate this module via its DCC input. Okay, it'll have to have an accessory address. So that's the first test done. So that's set up the WFS-43 and done a very basic test. You can operate the switches by using its own network, and it's the web pages on that network. But of course, that's not much good, only for test, because you're probably on a layout going to have several of these. You're going to have maybe 4, 5, whatever of these modules, because you'll have a lot more than 4 turnouts. So In a later video, I'm going to show you how to operate these via DCC from a command station, and also how to operate them over Wi-Fi only from a WFS-43, which we manufacture, which has the very nice schematic control panels which I showed on the introduction video to the WFS switch machine range.